throwaway because a couple of her friends use Reddit. I, 34M, have been married to my wife, 32F, for 6 years. Together for 9. Up until recently, I would have told anyone we had a solid marriage. Not perfect, but solid. We both work full-time, no kids yet, small house in the suburbs, a dog who sheds like it's his job. Normal life. But if I'm being brutally honest, something has felt off for about a year. My wife has always had a sharp edge to her personality. She's quick with sarcasm, quick to snap, and if she feels cornered, she goes straight for the jugular. I used to think it was just her being passionate. Lately, it's felt more like hostility. And the lying, small lies at first. Dumb lies. The kind you don't even understand the point of. She'd say she was at work late, but her location would show her across town. When I asked, she'd immediately flip it on me. Why are you tracking me? I'm not tracking you, we share locations. Well, maybe I forgot to turn it off. God. Then suddenly it was my fault for asking. At first, I ignored it. Everyone tells you marriage has phases. Stress, distance, whatever. I convinced myself I was being paranoid. I didn't want to be that insecure husband. But then the mood swings started getting worse. She'd be overly affectionate one day, almost suspiciously so, and cold as ice the next. Like she was either trying to compensate for something, or preparing to detach. About 3 months ago, she started guarding her phone like it contained nuclear codes. Face down on the table. Taking it to the bathroom. Changing her password. When I asked about it, she laughed. You're being dramatic. That word, dramatic. She uses it whenever I'm close to something she doesn't want to explain. Last week, something happened that I can't shake. And it's the first time I genuinely felt my stomach drop in a way I can't describe. I don't know if I'm overreacting. I don't know if I'm about to blow up my entire life over paranoia. But I think my wife has been lying to me for months. And I think I'm finally about to find out why. Okay. Here's where things stopped feeling like maybe I'm insecure, and started feeling very, very real. Last Tuesday, she told me she had to stay late at work. Big client presentation. Don't wait up, she said, barely looking at me while putting on lipstick in the hallway mirror. She'd been weirdly dressed up lately. Not just nice, intentional. New perfume. Heels on a Tuesday. I remember thinking it was odd because she'd complained that morning about being exhausted and hating her job. Around 9:30 p.m. I texted her. How's it going? No reply. 10:15 p.m. Still nothing. At 10:40 p.m., I get a text. Wrapping up. Don't be weird. I hadn't even said anything weird. Here's the thing, we share location. Not because I'm controlling. It was her idea years ago after I got into a minor car accident. Just in case, she said. I opened it. She wasn't at the office. She was across town at a bar I'd never heard her mention before. I stared at the map for a solid 5 minutes. I zoomed in and out like it would somehow change the answer. Maybe GPS glitch? Maybe the office building was near it? Nope. Completely different neighborhood. I felt that first wave hit me, not anger, not yet. Just confusion. That weird buzzing in your chest when your brain is trying to protect you from the obvious conclusion. I called her. Straight to voicemail. Texted. Why does your location say you're at bar name? 3 dots immediately. Then nothing. 10 full minutes go by. Finally. You're seriously stalking me right now? That's insane. I swear to God, the way she flipped it that fast made me question my own eyesight. I replied. I'm not stalking you. We share location. You said you were at work? Another 10 minutes. Then, I left work. Coworkers dragged me out. I didn't think I needed permission. Permission. That word made something shift inside me. I never asked for permission. I asked why she lied. When she got home around midnight, she smelled like that new perfume mixed with something else. Not alcohol exactly. Something unfamiliar. She didn't look drunk. She looked energized. I asked calmly, "Why didn't you just tell me you were going out?" She rolled her eyes so hard I thought they might stick. "Because I didn't want to deal with this," she said, gesturing at me like I was the problem. Then she went to shower. Immediately. Midnight shower. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, feeling like a stranger in my own house. And that's when I started thinking, this isn't just stress. This is something else. And I don't think I'm ready for what it might be. After the midnight shower thing, I couldn't sleep. My brain wouldn't shut up. I kept replaying it, the bar. The immediate defensiveness. The way she said permission, like I was some controlling psycho. And the shower. Who showers at midnight after one drink with coworkers? At around 2 a.m., she was asleep. Dead asleep. Soft breathing, turned away from me. Her phone was on the nightstand. Face down. Always face down now. I'm not proud of this next part. I've never snooped before. In 9 years together, I never once went through her phone. I believed in privacy. I believed in trust. But trust was already bleeding out. I picked it up. Password changed. My stomach dropped again. She's never changed it before. Not once. I put it back. My hands were literally shaking. I felt insane. Like I was turning into the jealous husband she'd already painted me as. The next morning she acted overly sweet. Made coffee. Kissed my cheek. Asked about my meeting. It was such a sharp contrast from the eye-rolling the night before that it almost felt scripted. Then, and this is where it gets weird, she left her Apple Watch on the kitchen counter when she went to shower before work. It lit up. Message preview. I wasn't trying to look. It was just there. Last night was worth the wait, winking face. My entire body went cold. No name. Just a number. But the winking emoji. The tone. The implication. Worth the wait. I swear my ears were ringing. I just stood there staring at her watch like it was a bomb. Another message came through. "When can I see you again?" She came out of the bathroom mid-text. Saw me holding the watch. Everything in her face changed instantly. Not guilt. Calculation. "What are you doing?" she snapped. I couldn't even get the words out at first. I just turned the watch toward her. Silence. Then she laughed. Actually laughed. Oh my God. It's a coworker. We were joking about a project timeline. "You're so dramatic." There it was again. Dramatic. "Worth the wait?" I said. My voice didn't sound like mine. She grabbed the watch out of my hand. "You are reading into nothing. This is why I don't tell you things. You spiral." I asked to see the full conversation. She refused. Flat out. "It's private." Private. That word hit harder than I expected. Private is for diaries. For thoughts. Not for conversations that look like that. We stood there in the kitchen staring at each other like opponents. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. If she is cheating, she's not scared of getting caught. She's confident she can talk her way out of it. And that scares me more than the messages. I went to work that day feeling like I was underwater. Everything felt distant. People talked to me and I nodded like I understood, but my brain was just replaying those messages over and over. Last night was worth the wait, winking face. I kept hearing her laugh in the kitchen. When I got home, she was already there. Which was unusual lately. Usually it was late meetings, or team drinks. She was cooking. Music on. Acting normal. Too normal. I told myself, stay calm. Don't accuse. Just ask. So I did. "Can we talk about this morning?" She didn't even turn around. "There's nothing to talk about." That set something off in me. "There is. You got text from a guy saying last night was worth the wait." She finally turned around, wooden spoon still in her hand. "You are seriously still on that?" "Still on that." like I was obsessing over some random meme. Yes, I said. I'm still on that. She sighed dramatically. It was sarcasm. We were waiting on a client to approve something. It took forever. He said it was worth the wait. It's a joke. Why the wink emoji? She rolled her eyes again. Because it's funny? I asked to see the thread again. She went from annoyed to sharp in half a second. No. I'm not handing over my phone because you're insecure. That word hit differently then. Dramatic. Insecure. I told her I wasn't asking to control her. I just needed reassurance. Her response? If you need to go through my phone to feel secure, that's your issue. And then she hit me with something I didn't see coming. Maybe if you were more attentive lately, you wouldn't feel so paranoid. Attentive. I've been the one planning date nights. I've been the one initiating conversations. I've been the one asking if we're okay. But suddenly I was the neglectful husband? The conversation escalated fast. She started bringing up random stuff from months ago. A weekend I worked too much, a time I forgot to pick up dry cleaning, some vague complaint about me being emotionally distant. It felt like watching someone throw spaghetti at a wall to see what sticks. I said very clearly, "Are you cheating on me?" She froze for a second. Then, "No. God. You're unbelievable." No hesitation. No softness. Just irritation. But she didn't say it the way someone says it when they're hurt by the accusation. She said it like someone annoyed they're being inconvenienced. That night she slept facing away from me again. And around 1 a.m., her phone buzzed. She grabbed it instantly. Under the blanket. I pretended to be asleep. And that's when I knew this wasn't in my head anymore. Something is happening. And I'm not ready for how bad it might be. 3 days after the Apple Watch incident, she drops this on me out of nowhere. I have to go to Chicago next week. Mandatory training. 3 days. We live nowhere near Chicago. In 6 years of marriage, she has never had a mandatory out-of-state training. I asked when she found out. Today, she said, not breaking eye contact. Later that night, I walked past her laptop. Her email was open. The confirmation email for the flight was dated 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks. That wasn't a last-minute training. That was planned. I didn't confront her immediately. I don't know why. Maybe I was afraid of what would happen if I pushed too hard. Maybe I was gathering proof like some amateur detective in my own life. The week before the trip, she was different again. Extra irritable. Picking fights over nothing. I left a dish in the sink. You never help around here. I asked what time her flight was. Why do you need to know every detail? I asked which hotel. The one the company booked. Obviously. But she wouldn't name it. The night before she left, something else happened. I was taking the trash out and noticed her car door was unlocked. That's unusual for her. She's obsessive about locking it. I don't know what possessed me, but I opened the glove compartment. There was a small gift bag inside. Not for me. Inside was a men's watch. Brand new. Expensive looking. Still in the box. No receipt. No note. Just the watch. My heart started pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. I stood there in the driveway under the porch light, holding this watch, trying to convince myself there was some logical explanation. Maybe it's for her dad. His birthday is months away. Maybe it's for a coworker retirement? But why hide it in the car? When she came out to grab something from the trunk, she saw me holding it. Everything froze. "What's that?" she asked too casually. "I was going to ask you the same thing." Her jaw tightened. "It's for my boss. He helped me with a promotion recommendation." "What promotion?" Silence. Then, "It's not finalized yet." I didn't want to say anything. Another lie layered on top of a possible lie. I asked why it was in the glove compartment. She shrugged. "I didn't want you to see it and start asking a million questions." That sentence just hung there between us. I didn't want you to see it. She grabbed the bag from my hand a little too quickly. You're making everything weird lately, she said. I have a work trip. I bought my boss a thank you gift. That's it. That's it. The next morning she left for Chicago. I kissed her goodbye at the airport drop-off. She barely looked at me. And as I drove away, I had this gut feeling, the kind that feels ancient and primal, that my marriage might already be over. I just don't know how much worse it's about to get. The first red flag hit before her plane even landed. She texted me. Just landed. Going to grab luggage. Except I checked the flight number she'd casually mentioned the night before. It hadn't landed yet. It was still in the air. I stared at the flight tracker app like it had personally betrayed me. Maybe she typoed the number? Maybe it updated weird? 30 minutes later, the tracker showed the plane landing. Then I got another text. At the hotel. Exhausted. No mention of baggage claim. No Uber. Just magically at the hotel. I asked which hotel again. She responded. The Westin downtown. Why? So I looked it up. There was no company training scheduled there that week. I even checked her company's public event page. Nothing in Chicago at all. I know that sounds obsessive. Maybe it is. But at this point I felt like I was being slowly poisoned by half-truths. That night she FaceTimed me from the hotel room. But here's the weird part, the room looked off. It wasn't a standard business hotel vibe. It looked more boutique. Dim lighting. Exposed brick wall behind her. Definitely not the Westin I just Googled. I said, I thought you said Westin? She didn't miss a beat. They overbooked. They moved some of us. Some of us. But she was alone in the room. I asked how training went. She gave vague answers. Good. Long. A lot of slides. No details. Nothing specific. At one point during the call, she muted herself suddenly and looked off to the side. Like someone had entered the room. My chest tightened. When she unmuted, she smiled too brightly. Housekeeping, she said. At 9:45 p.m. Housekeeping. I didn't sleep that night. Around 2 a.m., I checked her location again. It wasn't at the hotel she named. It was at a high-rise apartment building. Not a hotel. An apartment complex. I zoomed in over and over like that would somehow change what I was seeing. I texted her. Why does your location show you at an apartment building? No response. 10 minutes later, location services turned off. Just off. I think that's when it fully hit me. Not suspicion. Not doubt. Certainty. And I swear I physically felt something break inside my chest. The next morning she texted like nothing happened. Big day today. Might be slow to respond. I didn't reply. Because at that point, I wasn't confused anymore. I was bracing myself. I didn't respond to her. Big day today. Text. Not out of strategy. I just didn't know what to say anymore. Around noon, she called me. That alone was strange. She almost never calls during work hours. I let it ring once before answering. Her voice was softer than usual. Almost careful. Why are you being weird? She asked immediately. Weird. I said. Your location turned off last night. Silence. Then a small scoff. My battery died. It was at an apartment building. You are seriously stalking me across state lines right now? Deflect. Attack. Reverse. I'm your husband, I said. You told me you were at a hotel. She exhaled sharply. I went out with coworkers after training. One of them lives nearby. My phone died. That's it. I asked for the coworker's name. Long pause. Mark, she said. That was new. I'd never heard her mention a Mark before. What's his last name? Why does that matter? Because people who tell the truth don't struggle to fill in basic details. We went in circles for 5 minutes. Every question I asked became an accusation in her version of events. Finally, she said, cold and clipped, "I have to go," and hung up. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. About an hour later, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Chicago area code. I almost didn't answer. When I did, there was silence for a second. Then a guy's voice. "Hey, is this my name?" My entire body went rigid. "Yeah. Who is this?" Pause. "You don't know me. But I think you should know something." I honestly thought it was a scam at first. Then he said her name. He said he lives in that apartment building, and that she's been there more than once. My ears started ringing again. Same as when I saw the watch messages. He told me she introduced herself as separated. Separated. He said he found my number because he saw my name pop up on her phone when I called last night. He Googled it. He said he didn't know she was married until he saw photos on her social media. Photos she'd apparently hidden from him. He sounded angry. Not at me. At her. "I'm not trying to blow up your life," he said. "But I think she's been playing both of us." Both. Us. I sat down on the edge of my bed because my legs felt weak. I asked him how long. "Since November," he said. "It's March. 4 months. 4 months of lies. Work trips. Late nights. Gaslighting me in my own kitchen." I thanked him. I don't even remember what I said. My brain felt like static. When I hung up, I just stared at the wall. There's a specific kind of silence that hits when your reality shifts. It's not loud. It's just empty. And suddenly, every argument, "You're dramatic," every midnight shower made horrifying sense. I wasn't paranoid. I was being lied to. And now I had confirmation. I didn't call her immediately. I sat with it for about an hour, just staring at nothing. I kept replaying the guy's voice in my head. She told me she was separated. Separated. Not unhappy. Not. It's complicated. Separated. I finally texted her. "We need to talk. Now." She called within seconds. "What is it?" Irritated. Impatient. I didn't ease into it. "I just got off the phone with Mark." Dead silence. Not confusion. Not. "Who?" Silence. Then, "What are you talking about?" I said his last name. The one he gave me. Another pause. I could practically hear her thinking. "You're actually calling random numbers now? You've lost it." That was her first move. Deny his existence. I said, "He lives in the apartment building your location showed. He says you've been there since November. He says you told him we're separated." Her breathing changed. That tiny shift told me everything. Then she snapped. "This is insane. He's obsessed with me. I told you I went there with coworkers. He probably got the wrong idea." "Wrong idea?" My voice cracked for the first time. "He said you've stayed over." She didn't deny it. She pivoted. "Maybe if you hadn't been so distant the past year, I wouldn't have needed someone to talk to." There it was. Blame. I felt heat rush to my face. "So you did cheat." She didn't answer directly. She said, "I didn't plan for this to happen." That's not a no. I asked you if you were cheating. You looked me in the face and said no. You were being aggressive. Aggressive. I was calm in that kitchen. I remember that clearly now. "So what is he?" I asked. "Just someone to talk to." She hesitated. Then, it started emotional. Started. My chest felt like it was collapsing inward. "How far did it go?" Long silence. Then, flat and almost annoyed. "Does it matter?" That sentence broke me more than the affair itself. Does it matter? Like my feelings were a technicality. I hung up on her. I couldn't listen anymore. I couldn't hear her spin it into some version where I was the villain. She called back 3 times. I didn't answer. Then she texted. You're overreacting. We can fix this. We can fix this. After 4 months of lies. After gaslighting me so hard I started questioning my sanity. I sat there staring at that message, realizing something terrifying. She wasn't sorry she cheated. She was sorry she got caught. And I don't think she ever planned to tell me. After I hung up on her, I didn't feel rage like I expected. I felt hollow. Like someone had scooped everything out of my chest and left this echoing space behind. She kept texting. Can we just talk calmly? You're blowing this out of proportion. It wasn't serious. I was going to tell you. That last one almost made me laugh. Going to tell me. When? Year 2? After kids? Then came the shift in tone. You haven't been emotionally available for a long time. I felt alone in this marriage. He listened. There it was. The narrative rewrite. Suddenly this wasn't about her lying, sneaking around, buying another man a watch and flying across state lines. It was about my emotional availability. I replayed the past year in my head like security footage. Date nights I planned. Conversations I initiated. Times I asked if she was okay. Times she brushed me off. Was I perfect? No. But I was present. Meanwhile, she had built an entire second relationship. I ended up calling Mark back. I don't know why. Maybe I needed more proof. Maybe I was punishing myself. He didn't hesitate this time. He told me she'd spent the night multiple times. That she kept a toothbrush there. That she talked about finalizing things with me. Finalizing. Like I was paperwork. He sounded embarrassed, honestly. Said he thought she was in the middle of a divorce. Said she complained about me being controlling and emotionally cold. That one stung. Controlling. The irony almost made me dizzy. I asked him one question I probably shouldn't have. Do you love her? He paused. I thought I did. Thought. So she'd sold him a version of herself too. 2 realities. 2 narratives. 1 wife. By the time she boarded her return flight, I had gone through every stage possible in a single day. Shock. Denial. Anger. Sadness. Numbness. Back to anger. When she texted landing soon, I felt dread instead of relief. This wasn't going to be some dramatic crying apology scene. I know her. She was going to argue, deflect, minimize. And part of me was terrified that I'd still want her to choose me. That might be the worst part of all. I picked her up from the airport. I don't even know why I offered. Habit, maybe? Or some part of me wanting to see her reaction in person. When she walked out of arrivals, she looked completely normal. Rolling suitcase. Sunglasses on. That same composed expression she always wears when she's in control of a situation. She got in the car. Are you going to say anything? She asked, like I was the one being dramatic again. I just drove. The silence in that car was suffocating. About 5 minutes in, she said, I don't appreciate you calling people behind my back. I actually laughed at that. Behind her back. You've been sleeping with someone behind mine for 4 months. She didn't flinch. It wasn't like that. I pulled into an empty parking lot. I couldn't drive and have this conversation at the same time. I turned to her. How was it like? She stared straight ahead. It started as just talking. She repeated. You and I haven't been good for a while. There it is again. Blame redistribution. You told him we were separated. She hesitated. I didn't know how else to explain it. Explain what? That you wanted attention without consequences? I asked her point blank. Did you sleep with him? Long pause. Yes. Just like that. No tears. No breaking voice. Just yes. It felt like getting punched in the chest, except quieter. I nodded slowly. I don't even remember deciding to nod. How many times? Does it matter? She said again. That phrase. That dismissiveness. It mattered to me. It mattered because every time she came home and kissed me after being at work, I was living inside a lie. I told her I knew about the toothbrush. Her eyes flicked toward me for half a second. So you two really compared notes, she said, almost annoyed. Almost annoyed. I think that's when the anger finally hit. You lied to my face, I said. You made me feel insane for questioning you. You were snooping. I felt my hands start to shake. You gaslit me for months. She crossed her arms. Defensive posture. I didn't want to hurt you. That sentence almost broke me again. You didn't want to hurt me? Then what exactly did you think this would do? When we got home, she went straight inside without waiting for me. Like this was just another argument. But this wasn't another argument. This was the moment my marriage officially stopped being what I thought it was. And I don't think she understands that yet. The first night after the confrontation, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was mad, that came later, but because my brain wouldn't stop replaying everything. Her laugh in the kitchen. The texts. The watch. The apartment. Mark. All of it, looping like some cruel nightmare. I felt hollow. Angry. Betrayed. Numb. And then sad. So sad. Every little thing reminded me of her lies. The way she used to smile at me in the morning, the way she used to say, "I love you," before leaving for work, all of it suddenly felt like it had been a performance. I started thinking about the first time I realized something was off, the small lies, the location lies, the defensiveness. Every little red flag I had ignored, rationalized, or excused now felt like a warning I chose to ignore. By morning, the anger settled in. It wasn't the fiery, explosive kind. It was deep, simmering. The kind that makes your chest ache and your stomach feel hollow at the same time. I didn't want to see her. I didn't want to hear her excuses. I wanted to scream, but the words wouldn't come out. The worst part? I still loved her. I still wanted her to be the person I thought I married. That part of me hurt more than anything. The betrayal was one thing. The fact that my heart was still invested, even after months of lies, was another kind of torture entirely. I started writing everything down, every lie, every text, every shift in behavior. Seeing it on paper made it feel real in a way that my mind alone couldn't process. By the end of the day, I realized I had to make a choice, either continue this slow spiral of betrayal and gaslighting, or finally take control of my life. And that realization scared me more than any confrontation ever could. The next few days were brutal. She acted almost normal, like nothing had happened. Breakfasts together, small talk, casual jokes. But I knew better. Every smile, every casual touch felt calculated, like she was testing how much I'd forgive. I tried talking to her again. I asked why. I asked how she could do this to me. I asked if she even cared. She gave the same answers she always does. I felt alone. You've been distant. It just happened. Each excuse felt like a punch in the gut. Not because they were new, but because she kept repeating them as if repeating them made them true. I realized something. She's never going to take full responsibility. She's never going to fully acknowledge the pain she caused. Not genuinely. She's skilled at deflection, at spinning reality. And as much as I wanted to hold on to the marriage I thought we had, I knew I couldn't do it alone. I spent a long night alone, pacing the house. Angry. Hurt. Exhausted. I asked myself, do I want to spend the rest of my life wondering if this will happen again? The answer was clear. Even if we tried to fix things, the foundation of trust was gone. Completely. It wasn't something that could just be rebuilt with apologies or vague promises. I also realized I had to prioritize myself. My mental health. My dignity. My future. Because if I stayed, I'd be constantly doubting everything, constantly questioning her words, constantly living with this gnawing ache. The decision was still terrifying, but I knew what I couldn't accept anymore. I knew I had to say it out loud. Not over texts. Not half-heartedly. Face to face. That evening, I sat her down in the living room. I told her, I can't do this anymore. I can't live with the lies, the gaslighting, and the betrayal. I can't rebuild a marriage on a foundation of deception. Her face didn't crumble. She didn't cry. She just blinked at me, like she was expecting a different outcome. You're really going to throw everything away over 4 months? She asked, voice tight. Not 4 months. I said. Everything. All the lies. All the manipulation. The way you treated me for years, building up to this. This is the final straw. She scoffed. I didn't plan for this to happen. I don't care about planning. I care about honesty. I care about trust. And you broke both. She leaned back on the couch, arms crossed. So that's it. That's it, I said firmly. I need to protect myself now. I'm done. She didn't say another word. Just stared. I could feel her calculating, wondering if I'd regret it, wondering if I'd cave. I didn't. I packed a few things into my car the next day. Not out of revenge. Not out of spite. Out of necessity. I couldn't stay in the same house with her, pretending everything was normal. Driving away, I felt like a weight had lifted. Pain, yes. Sadness, yes. But also relief. Relief that I had finally chosen myself over a lie. The first few weeks after moving out were surreal. Part of me expected to break down completely, but instead, it was like living in 2 layers of reality. One layer was the grief, the betrayal, the loss, the anger. The other was the freedom, the ability to breathe without second-guessing every word, every glance, every message. I cried a lot. Not every day, but often enough to remind myself this wasn't some minor thing I could shake off. Friends noticed. Some tried to console me, others just listened. It helped to talk, even if I couldn't fully explain the mixture of rage and sadness I carried. I started writing again, journaling everything. Every memory, every detail of her lies, every pang of betrayal. Putting it on paper was like untying knots in my chest. It hurt, but it also clarified things. I realized just how manipulative she had been, how calculated some of her actions were, and how resilient I actually am for surviving it all. I also began to rebuild my sense of self. I went to therapy. I worked out. I reconnected with hobbies I had shelved over the years. Things like painting, running, even cooking, activities that reminded me I existed outside of this toxic relationship. Slowly, I started seeing the silver lining. Not in her actions, never in her, but in myself. I was stronger than I thought. I could set boundaries. I could recognize manipulation. I could survive heartbreak and emerge whole. The grief is still there, some days sharper than others, but I've learned that it doesn't have to define me. I'm learning to trust myself again, to rely on my instincts, and to never ignore those first red flags ever again. It's been a few months since I left. I haven't spoken to her much, and I don't plan to. Honestly, I'm relieved. The constant anxiety, the endless guessing games, the gaslighting, it's gone. And I've realized something crucial. No amount of love can fix a relationship built on lies. Here's what I've learned the hard way. 1. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't let anyone convince you that your feelings are dramatic or insecure. 2. Red flags are real. Small lies, defensiveness, secretive behavior, they matter. They often snowball into something bigger. 3. You can't control someone else's choices. You can only control your reaction. And sometimes, the healthiest reaction is walking away. 4. Self-respect comes first. It took losing her and facing months of betrayal to realize that preserving my dignity was more important than trying to save a marriage that was already dead. 5. Healing takes time, but it's possible. Therapy, journaling, reconnecting with hobbies and friends, it all helped me rebuild my sense of self. To anyone going through something similar, it's going to hurt. A lot. And it might feel impossible to get past. But you are capable of surviving it. You are capable of thriving. Don't let someone else's lies make you doubt your worth. I don't know what the future holds, whether I'll marry again, whether I'll ever fully trust someone, but I do know one thing: I'll never ignore my gut again, and I'll never let someone make me question my reality the way she did. Sometimes walking away is the bravest, most loving thing you can do for yourself.